We're sisters, best friends, and authors on a mission to help you stoke your creative fire and live the life of your dreams. We believe that purpose fuels passion and that creativity is your secret weapon for mass construction. There's never been a better time to bless the world with your dream realized. You're listening to The Kate and Abbie Show. What's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of The Kate and Abbie Show. We are back finally after a extended break for the month of June because I was on a writing retreat, a virtual writing retreat, and a lot of you guys joined me for that adventure. That was super fun, but now we are back with the podcast and we have some exciting updates to give you guys in this episode, which we're going to dive into in just a minute. But we thought we would do something fun today because this is the 100th episode of The Kate and Abbie Show, which is hard to believe that we've been doing it for 100 episodes, 100 weeks, which is really exciting and fun. So we thought we would do something a little bit different this time and make it something fun. So we're focusing this episode on how well do we know each other? We're going to play a game. How well do we know each other as sisters and writers? So I prepared some questions here that Kate and I are going to ask each other, and we're going to play a little game and see how well we know each other as writers and sisters. And whoever gets the most points and is the most correct at the end wins. I don't know what we win. We don't win anything.
We just win the glory.
We win the satisfaction.
The satisfaction, for sure.
So yeah, that's what we're going to do today. We thought it'd be fun to just do something.
Yeah, do something. Quiz each other on our creative writing and how well we know each other's writing habits and all that stuff. 100 episodes in, it's been an amazing journey. And we have you guys to thank for that because we wouldn't be here today without all of you who join us every single episode and give us such amazing feedback and just the incredible community that we've been able to develop around the podcast, and all of us just cheering each other on, helping each other out, and having an amazing, fun time in this community of writers. It's just been absolutely fantastic, and we're so proud of this little community. It brings us so much joy, I think.
Yeah, so we want to first give some updates, I think, in the beginning of our own writing projects.
Yeah, because we've been doing a lot in the past month.
Yeah, it's been a busy summer.
Yeah, do you want to talk a little bit about what you worked on the writing retreat? Because, that's big.
Yeah,
even though you can't say a lot about it. But
I know. Well, I talked about it a lot on my channel in my recent vlog, and it was a interesting journey because at first I was focused on a different book, and then I kind of pivoted my focus and started working some heavy duty rewrites on a different book, and it's coming along good. I'm happy with the progress I've made, and there's still a lot to be done, but I like the feeling of, taking the time to really make some good significant progress on a project. So a lot of you guys joined me for that writing retreat, and it was cool to see you guys make progress as well. And Kate is in the process of publishing a new book.
Yeah, I'm in the process of publishing the last book in the follow-up duology. That's kind of connected, very much connected actually, to my series, The Blood Race. And it's the last book that's related to that series. So it's kind of bittersweet, but mostly sweet because it's been an amazing journey. And I feel like it's time to close that chapter in a satisfying way and move on to some new things. And I'm really excited to share this last story with you guys because I'm so proud of how it came out. It's an incredible story. It has just all the things I love in it. It has, romance, mystery, action, adventure, lots of nature-based vibes, spooky forest, the whole 9 yards. Everything I love is in this book. I'm really proud of it. I'm really stoked to share it with you. And if you want to stay up to date on that, you can sign up for my mailing list, which I'll link in the description of the YouTube video version of this podcast. If you want updates about when I'm going to release it and stuff, all of that is still yet to be announced. But there's also going to be an audiobook version coming out too, which I've been super happy and stoked to work with Podium Audio to do the audiobook for this book. So it's been fantastic. It's been such an interesting journey, and it's going to feel really good to have the last book out.
Yeah.
Because Abbie and I are also working on a co-write of a new series, a new thing. So that's such a new journey because we've been like separately doing things in our own respective author careers for years now, and on our respective YouTube channels. And now we have the podcast together, and it's like that next step is we're finally publishing a book together, a series, and it's going to be such a new adventure. I'm so excited for it.
Yeah.
So I wrote a lot of that during Abbie's writing retreat.
Yeah, and I'm looking forward to writing more of that as well as summer goes on. So as you can probably tell by this point, Kate and I have been super busy with a lot of different writing and publishing projects. And so because of that, during this summer, we are going to be shifting the schedule of this podcast to be twice a month instead of once every Monday. So keep an eye out for new podcasts every other Monday. And in the meantime, Kate and I will be working hard on our respective writing projects and our co-writing project. And we're really excited to share more about that with you guys. But as you know, if you're a writer and an indie author, it requires so much time and attention. And so we don't want to cut that time short on our writing projects and publishing. So we're going to be putting a lot more time into that, a lot more focus throughout the summer, and excited to bring you guys new content, valuable resources every other Monday.
Yeah. And as you guys know, I mean, it's me and Abbie, just the team of two doing it all here. So it's really important to us that every time we sit down with you guys, that we're bringing as much value to the table as possible and serving you guys in the most beneficial way. We don't want to just be, trying to squeeze in an episode here and there just to have, more content. It's quality over quantity with us. And it's always been like that. We want every time we show up to this table to chat with you guys to be full of value. And as I think especially we've been thinking about that more and more hitting the 100th episode. It's like, wow, we've come so far. How can we continue to really bring you guys the most value and serve you in the most positive way possible? So it's going to be fun. And we have books coming at you guys that are going to be so cool to share with you finally, because you guys have been part of this whole co-writing, listening to us talk about the co-write and listening to our updates and stuff.
Yeah. It's very exciting. I can't wait to share more with you guys about that. So let's dive into today's episode. Let's dive into the game.
Yes, the game.
This is I'm going to take a pen, I think, because it's going to be easier for me to write with a pen. Okay. So we're going to go through this list of questions, and some of them are like about writing. Some of them are about like being sisters and just for fun stuff. So I'm really excited to see, because I feel like we know each other so well that we're going to totally ace this.
I also feel like a lot of our followers, our listeners are going to be able to guess some of these too.
Yeah, probably.
I feel like a lot of you guys are going to get so many of these right.
Yeah, so while we are writing our answers for each other, you guys listening to this right now should see if you can guess the answers as well. So let's dive right in. First question: what is the first story I ever wrote? So don't say it. Write it down. Okay. Write it down, and I'll try to write yours down and see if I can remember.
Okay.
I should have probably thought about this beforehand, but
yeah,
we've written so many things.
It's hard to know what the first thing is. I've had so many people ask me, what was your first book? And it's like, well, it's hard to really define because
I'm gonna kind of, because I remember so many of the picture books that we used to make as kids, so I'm gonna kind of dismiss those.
Right.
I'm gonna say the first real story.
Okay. So all right. Well, so then that kind of changes my answer then.
Okay. Well, then cross it off and start over.
This will be interesting to see if I'm right, because I kind of have two answers.
Because I know what mine is.
Okay, you know what yours is?
I do remember.
What your first book was, or
yes.
Okay.
Are you ready to reveal?
Yeah. Yep, you got it right.
So yeah, you got it right too. Some sort of mystery. Okay, it was a mystery.
I can't remember what it was called. It was some sort of mystery story, wasn't it? Because and mine was a book called The Three Cousins Mysteries, and I actually wrote 5 of them.
They were so good.
The main characters were myself, Abbie, and our cousin.
It was so fun. Yeah, I loved those stories.
It was really fun. I wrote 5 of them. I think there was 5 books, and they were actually a decent size.
You should publish those someday.
That would be fun. I think I was 11.
Oh my gosh, that was
10
so
or
cool.
11. I think
That's
I might
so
have been
cool.
10.
Mine was, I remember it very specifically. It was a mystery. It was a fan fiction, really.
Was it really?
A fan fiction story of the Boxcar Children.
Okay, I thought so. I was wondering that. I'm like, it was either the Boxcar Children or it was like a spin-off, but the same thing.
Yeah, it was the Boxcar Children. And I was like, I took the characters and I like wrote a story about them because I loved that series growing up.
Yes,
We both did.
we were raised on those books. Yeah. The Boxcar Children were the
Okay,
best.
so we both get a point then. I didn't have like a point system, so I'm just going to write it down here.
Okay.
I'm going to write down Abbie and then Kate over here. We'll just make lines for each point. So you got it right, I got it right. Okay, next question. What is my greatest fear as a writer?
Okay.
So I think I know yours.
I don't even know mine at all.
It's like the long silence.
Okay.
Ready?
Yep.
That it will be too long. Yeah.
Accidentally deleting your book. Yes. Yeah, I am very scared of that.
Like accidentally losing the file.
Yeah. So I'm not a very tech savvy person, and I know how to do a few things on the computer, but when it comes to saving things and where it shows up in files and how files seem to sometimes duplicate themselves, I'm not sure why, and like where your internal hard drive is and all of that I find very confusing. And so usually I'm asking Abbie, like, Abbie, can you come watch me save this file so that you know where it is? Like so often, because I'm so afraid that like the book will accidentally be deleted.
Yeah.
A piece of writing will accidentally be deleted and it will be just a travesty.
Honestly, I think I'm scared of that too. I think every writer is scared of that. But yes, you're correct. My other fear that I always talk about is like, oh, I'm afraid this is going to be too long.
Yeah, you always say that. Like every time you're like, oh, I'm afraid this is going to be too long, whether it's like a chapter or the whole book or both.
Yep. It's true. It's true. I'm so long-winded and then I just get nervous about it.
But
Okay.
it's always good.
3 is which word or words do I overuse when writing?
Oh my gosh. That's a hard one.
I know yours.
Oh my gosh. Isn't that obvious?
Let's see. There's several that you overuse.
Yeah. I don't know if I can think of one for you.
Wow, I must be good.
Yeah, you're very good. You're a great writer.
Thanks. You are too. I didn't mean that you weren't. I think there's I was thinking of one earlier.
This one's the hardest one.
Yeah, is it really? I know yours. I feel bad now because I'm like, gosh, she really overuses this word. But you catch it.
Wait,
in
is it
editing.
just a word or a component?
A word or
Okay.
like a phrase?
Okay.
She thought of it now.
Okay.
A phrase or a few words or whatever. Got it.
Okay.
Language.
Yes. You really like that word.
I do like that word.
Slightly in a long
Language.
moment. Yep. Yeah.
Slightly. A lot of your characters do things slightly.
Yeah, which now I've really like.
I feel like you've
the
gotten better
editing
at that.
process really changes you a lot because
Yeah.
like you start noticing those like, okay, I use that phrase a lot. That's part of the beauty of editing your own work, because
Yeah.
if you just have someone else edit it, or you kind of just like quickly go through your book and you don't take a lot of time to notice like, okay, what words am I using too much? What types of phrases am I using too much? You won't get familiarized and you won't be able to get better. So it's good to do that and to be honest and upfront with yourself, and even make a list of like, okay, what's my vocabulary? Because every author has a vocabulary of words that they like using, and it's good to just take stock and see, what do I tend to repeat sometimes and how can I change it up? So I think that's a really valuable practice.
Yeah, it is for sure. And if you can't like self-observe very well, asking your beta readers this would be a good question too. Like, what words do I tend to overuse? And see what stands out to a reader.
Yeah. And
But that was
I couldn't. I was hard pressed to think of one for you, but I know that word's like kind of a funky word, and you like using that one.
usually like you notice the words that are more unique
Yeah.
when they're overused.
Right,
'Cause it's like,
exactly.
oh, I don't hear that a lot.
Right.
And then you hear it over and over again in this one
Yes.
book. Okay. This one might be difficult for you because I know you don't read a lot, but who is my favorite author?
Okay.
I think I can guess yours, even though you don't read a ton.
Yeah. Yeah, I think you know who mine is.
I hope I do.
Okay.
If I don't, it'll be like really bad.
Did you do the points for our last one?
Yeah,
I C.S. Lewis.
Jane
Yes.
Austen. Yep.
Yep.
Jane Austen
Yep.
is correct.
We know each other really well.
We do. We're going to totally win.
C.S. Lewis is absolutely my favorite author, and my favorite book, as many of you guys know, I've said it many times on the podcast, is Prince Caspian. Absolutely. Favorite book and favorite film of all time. And I also love C.S. Lewis's other writings. He has a lot of other interesting fiction and nonfiction, and he was just such a good writer, so entertaining, so interesting. Thought-provoking work.
Yeah.
Really
yes. Good. I agree. I love C.S. Lewis as well. And Jane Austen, of course. Everyone knows I love Jane Austen. Everyone probably guessed that one for me. Number 5 is, what genre do I hate?
What genre do you hate?
I feel like we both hate the same genres, but...
Yeah. I feel like... I thought you were...
Although, you know, you probably... Actually, I don't know.
There's really not too many
I feel
genres.
like, okay, I know the first
dislike.
one for sure, but I'm not sure about the second one.
Okay.
So I'm just putting
mine's
it there
kind of
for-
like a
for
this
good
slash
measure.
that. Okay. Yep.
Yeah,
Yeah, we both share
I
that.
put it too. Like,
so I
space
have down-
adventure. I feel like you don't really like space adventures.
I
that
don't
much.
like space adventures that much. I have down for Abbie sci-fi / space opera because I think you don't really
Yes,
like
I don't.
sci-fis that are like going into like lots of technology and
I just don't find it interesting.
also
at all.
anything that takes place in outer space.
Yeah, I just am not really that drawn to it.
Yeah,
I mean,
like I like some of the Star Wars movies, but it's kind of for different reasons. And I've
Yeah.
never been someone who's super into the Star Wars movies. Like I've
Yeah.
watched some of them and I find them interesting, but it's mostly for different reasons, not for the fact that it takes place in outer space.
yeah.
Even though I've always liked Star Trek.
Yeah, I've always liked Star
But-
Trek too, but it doesn't have the same like addictive quality for me as other genres.
Oh yeah, same.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like just stuff that takes place in outer space.
That's
kind
so
of.
funny that we both.
Yeah, and
understand.
horror. Yeah,
Yeah,
Abbie
and
has
I
down
wrote
for me horror. I don't like horror.
I don't like horror either. That's like one genre I definitely don't ever read or like.
Yeah.
Okay, so number 6, this one's very specific to us, of course. What is my favorite BBC masterpiece drama?
Yep. So a lot of you guys know we love BBC Masterpiece.
We like almost exclusively watch that only. They
Yeah.
just make so many good dramas. Just it's hard for me to even like it'll be hard for me to even say if what you write is true because I love them all so much.
I know.
That I almost like have to rank several of them on the same level. It's
Yeah.
so hard, but there is one that always comes to mind.
Yeah.
Are you ready?
Yep.
Poldark. Poldark and Sense and Sensibility. Yes.
And Abbie has
Yes.
down for me Jane Eyre. Yes. Jane Eyre is the 2006 version done by BBC Masterpiece is, in my opinion, the most superior adaptation
It
of
is.
Jane Eyre. And I absolutely love it. And
It's
I've watched it
perfection.
many times. It's really, really well done. Extremely well acted. Beautiful writing and costume design, set design, filming. Just everything about it is immaculate.
It is. I agree.
And
Poldark
Poldark is
obviously,
fantastic.
you
You've heard
guys-
Abbie talk a lot about this. She's used it as examples in some of her videos as well, which a lot of
Yeah.
you guys will remember. Superbly written series with lots of good story examples of main character arcs and internal conflicts, that too, and good villains. Like talk about good villain crafting. Poldark does it absolutely perfectly.
Yeah, it does. You guys need to go and watch it. And Jane Eyre and Sense and Sensibilities. The BBC version of that, in my opinion, is absolutely immaculate.
Yeah, not to mention there's
so
some
good.
like some of their newer stuff too, like All Creatures Great and Small.
Yes.
And we
Oh,
just finished
yes.
watching Miss Scarlet and the Duke season 1, which was fantastic. If you guys
So
like
good.
mystery, really, really good. So Masterpiece just covers a huge variety of genres.
Yeah, and they just
with
do it so
excellent
well.
writing, excellent writing. Whether you're writing a novel or a screenplay, oh my gosh, such good examples of dialogue and scene structure, all of it. Really, really good.
Yeah.
Well worth it.
Before we descend into just fangirling over masterpiece, next one. What is the strangest thing I've ever researched for writing?
Oh, okay. Wow.
This one's going to be a little bit tricky because your researching process is not necessarily like something you share.
Yeah.
Or want to share. I'm going to guess.
Or want to share, yeah. We don't want to go down that rabbit hole. I have mine, though.
Oh, do you? For me?
Yep.
Wow. Okay, I'm scared.
I feel like our listeners are going to think this is funny for you.
Oh, man. I don't know if I can think of one because I don't really know what you research.
I don't really do much research
write
at all.
Fantasy so often.
I kind of just make everything up.
But I'm going to guess.
I research a few things here and there. I'm trying to think of what the last thing I researched was. I can't really think of it.
I don't even know. I'm going to get this one wrong.
Okay.
Because I don't know.
1, 2, 3.
Repairing dirt bikes, yeah.
Injuries / poison.
Yeah. I don't know. Do you ever like research stuff like that? Maybe not.
Sometimes,
Okay.
yes.
I feel like I failed that one, but you got it.
I feel like I was closer. But
because I don't really know what you research.
yeah, I don't research much. That's the thing about fantasy writing. Abbie researches a lot more things than me because she writes about things that are like complicated, like
That I can't write about unless I know them.
repairing dirt bikes or flying airplanes or fill in the blank with something like complicated piece of machinery, which I usually just skip that or make up my own machinery that no one else knows.
That's helpful.
It's a fantasy machine, so I can make it be repaired or work or function however I need it to without having to deal with someone later being like, it doesn't work that way.
I know. That's one of my greatest fears is like, that's inaccurate.
Yeah, which you can always get beta readers and readers that are like well versed in that thing.
Yes.
So that's helpful.
I intend to if I ever publish those stories.
Ooh, I'm winning.
Yeah, you are. You're one step ahead now.
Yeah.
Okay. Who is my favorite composer for film soundtracks?
Oh, okay.
And or like if your book was a movie, who would you want to do the soundtrack? You know mine, I know. So
I know
wow,
Abbie.
you just wrote that down like really quickly.
Yeah, before Abbie was even finished talking.
Oh man, okay. I have to think of yours. I think I know yours.
So a funny story before we reveal what Abbie's is. I know that me and Abbie discussed, she showed me this on her little Spotify wrap-up thingy, whatever that's called, that Spotify sends you some list at the end of the year telling you what you listened to the most. And she was in, for this composer, they're like, congratulations, you're in the top 1% of the people on the planet who listen to this composer
top
the most.
0.5%.
0.5%. It was unreal. I'm like, wow, that's amazing.
Okay, I'm cheating. I'm writing down 3 because I can't decide.
Okay.
You know it. Thomas Newman.
Thomas Newman.
That's the one.
Abby has down for me Hans Zimmer, Steve Jablonsky, and Daniel Pemberton. Yep, it's probably in that order too. So that's really good. Yes, I love Hans Zimmer. Has just such a diverse range of scores.
Yes. Oh my gosh.
It's
like hard to even recognize.
Like
I can
this never-ending treasure trove of music.
Yeah,
it's amazing.
I can recognize a lot of composers by the sound, but usually I can't recognize Hans because he's just like so diverse. With every soundtrack is so different.
Yeah.
But sometimes I can, like the ticking clock that appears in a lot of his music. Like,
oh yeah,
a little backing track of like a ticking clock.
Right.
Usually is an indication of Hans.
Yeah, Abbie's really good at picking out composers. Like I can turn on pretty much any composer, and Abbie will be able to name who it is.
But yeah, Thomas Newman. I am the ultimate fan of Thomas Newman. I feel like I listen to Thomas Newman more than Thomas Newman himself does.
That's probably true. That's probably true.
Love his
always listening to Thomas Newman.
Okay. What was my favorite childhood movie? I think we have the same one.
Possibly. I'm trying to think.
There's so many, but
I know what mine was, I think.
I think. Okay.
If you think it's the same one, now I'm really curious which one you think it is.
The one that we were both so obsessed with. Okay, I can't give you the clue, but there's a story behind it.
Yes, I know.
Okay, is that the one? Okay, it has to do with Hans Zimmer.
Yes. Okay, yep.
Spirit.
Spirit. Me and Abbie were very, very obsessed with the movie Spirit. Stallion of the Cimarron.
I love that movie.
It's a really, really, really well-written movie.
Such good themes, such good story.
Yes.
And such a good soundtrack.
Yes.
Like Hans Zimmer and Bryan Adams.
Perfect. Name a more iconic duo.
Name a more iconic duo. Okay, so the story behind it is that when Kate and I were kids, we would watch this movie so much, and we would rent the VHS tape from the local video store. Yep. And we like renewed it so many times in a row that the guy at the video store eventually just gave us the VHS tape.
Like you really have like spent $50 renting
so much money just
this
renting
like $10
over and over again.
VHS tape.
Yep.
Yeah. So he's like, here.
That's the story time, childhood story time, but we love that movie.
Yeah, it is really
still
good.
to this day. I still listen to the soundtrack. I was listening to the soundtrack this morning.
I do too. And there's also a French version of all like Bryan Adams has he did the whole like score, the whole soundtrack.
Yeah. With
him singing all the songs in French, which is just next
I remember
level.
listening to that.
Yeah, that's so good.
That was very good. So yeah, definitely if you also loved Spirit growing up, tell us in the comments. Mm-hmm. Okay, we're getting down to the last few questions. This one's kind of fun. Where would my dream house be located? I feel like we both have the same answer too.
Yeah, I think this is going to be...
Actually, you have an option. I have an option for you.
Oh, really? I have mine.
Okay. Cottage in England. Yup.
And for me, Abbie has England or India. Yes, absolutely. Those are two of my favorite places.
Two of the places.
I haven't been to India yet. I've always wanted to go to India. I am constantly looking for like films and books and just anything that has to do with Indian culture. I absolutely love, and I really look forward to eventually going there one day. And I'm I would love to. I also love England. I've spent some time there and just absolutely fell in love with the coast. And I'm like, either one of those places, I would be more than happy.
Yeah, I haven't been to England, but I would love to live even a small amount of time in a cottage in England. We also
were raised on like British literature and film, and we really only watch British television and we're like the British classics. We're more familiar with like British things than American things, which is kind of funny. And we've had a lot of we've been able to connect with so many like British creators online too that are like we can connect with more in some ways than like American creators, because it's like we're more familiar with that.
Yeah, it's
you
funny.
know what I mean? It's
like
just, even when I went there, it felt like home. I'm like everything's so familiar.
Yeah, exactly. Even when I'm writing, I'll use a lot of British phrases and stuff. I know you do too.
Yeah,
because I hear it so much in all the movies and video and like TV shows we watch, and then I'm like, wait, I have to think of an American equivalent for that, because that might not everyone will
or
understand
editors
that.
Like, oh, this is only applicable in Britain. I'm like, really? I use that all the time.
Yeah,
exactly. So it's difficult. It's difficult.
It's funny. Okay, last question.
Last one.
What is the one thing I love doing and you hate doing?
That was not a hard one. This was definitely not a hard one. I'm curious to see what...
Plotting and outlining. We both throw plotting and outlining. So I love outlining. Katie hates it.
Yep.
And I feel like in the vein of like other activities and stuff, that would be surfing for me. Because like I don't like surfing at all. And you do.
Yeah, Abbie loves plotting, and I do not like plotting or really outlining or writing down anything. So and then like surfing, which is like such a different
it's
totally
so different. I know.
Yeah, Abbie doesn't like surfing. Abbie did try surfing once, and I feel like she will try again in the future, but Yeah, we'll see. That remains to be seen. But the one time she did try surfing, she did really well, but she did not enjoy it.
I don't know if I'd call it really well. I like wiped out many times.
Yes, and then afterwards she's like, well, that's the only time I'm ever doing that.
I gave it a good try. I stuck it out for the whole session.
Yep, you did. It was impressive. There was big waves that day too.
They were big waves, and I was just like, oh, this isn't for me. Reading on the beach, definitely. Oh, reading is another one that I feel like I love and you don't like.
Oh, yeah. I mean, reading's okay, but it's like, I like listening to audiobooks a lot better than reading. Like on long car rides, I love listening to an audiobook.
Well, that counts.
Is it? Because it's not reading, it's listening. Yeah. It's like no different than listening to a podcast, really.
Yeah, but still, you still have to put in the time to digest the story.
That's true.
So.
Well, I never do unless I'm like stuck in a car. Like it has to be a long commute. But yeah, it is fun. I do like listening to audiobooks.
So in conclusion, I feel like we both know each other extremely well. And and I think that's even more so because we work together as well as spend a lot of time together just in our daily lives. And actually, when I was looking for like sibling questions to ask each other, I was like, wow, this must be for like siblings who haven't seen each other for like dozens of years, because I feel like I just know you better than I know myself because we see each other every day. So
I feel like we know more about each other respectively than like anyone else knows about either one of us.
I feel like we spend more combined hours with each other respectively than any other person on the planet.
Yeah, that is absolutely true, which is cool.
Because like
special.
We grew up together. We would always play together, homeschooled together. You know,
writing together.
There's
writing
no
careers,
getting away from
together. Yeah, exactly. I know. And like even to this day, we write together like almost every day. Yeah, it's awesome.
Traditions.
Yes.
So yeah, that's it. That's it for the questions. Hopefully you guys enjoy listening to this episode. We hope that you enjoyed it. We had fun playing this game together, and hope that you enjoyed watching it. And definitely tell us in the comments below if you guessed any of these answers accurately. We'd love to hear from you guys. Also, share with us your writing updates. We'd love to hear what you're working on. And definitely stay tuned for more content coming your way soon. Also, we have a website coming soon for the podcast.
Yes. That's
so
in the works.
For that.
So it'll be a place for you guys to be able to find different places to listen. If you're curious, like what other platforms, it'll be like an easy little springboard for finding those. A great way to share.
Yes. And also to write to the show.
Yeah.
If you have
so
suggestions,
if you want to ask questions
for podcast episodes.
Yeah. Contact us. Send us nice letters.
Yeah.
Or questions nice or topics that you'd like to see us cover. Because we want this to be really interactive. You guys mean so much to us, so we want it to be easy for you to contact us in addition to the YouTube comments section.
Yeah, so keep an eye out for that. That's coming soon. We will definitely alert you guys and post the link around when it is live. Thank you to our patrons for supporting this show and keeping it going. We so appreciate your love and support over there. If you get value out of this podcast, go to patreon.com/The Kate and Abbie Show and help us keep this show alive and free of interruptions. We will see you guys in the next one. Until then,
stay stoked
and rock on.